Good morning, and welcome to today's presentation of our monthly Business Boost series. Airing on the last week of each month, I'm your host, Randy Bowers, and I'd like to thank you for joining us this morning for our targeted prospecting webinar led by Denise and Shauna Naff. Introductions from them in just a moment. Targeted prospecting, or finding opportunities with data mining, sounds complicated, but we'll be helping you this morning identify audiences that are ripe with potential listings. A lack of information has kept these potential sellers from moving forward, but when you step in armed with information, you can easily be the expert they turn to when it's time to take action. Today we'll be drilling down on 8 categories of specialized potential sellers that exist in almost every market, showing you the type of information they need to take the next step, discussing how to position yourself as an expert for each type of seller, and how to learn about their potential needs so that you can approach them with a message of service rather than sales. As I mentioned earlier, also with me today is our very own Bonus Group CEO, Shauna Naff. Shauna, how about we get things going here? Denise has lots of great advice to share.
She does. It's going to be quite a whirlwind today. So first of all, welcome everyone to Targeted Prospecting with Denise Lonis. I am Shauna Naff with the Lonis Group, and today Denise is going to be covering how to find business, particularly sellers in this inventory challenged market. Because when done right, targeted prospecting can serve as a lead generation. We like to call it a faucet in your business, where you can turn it off when you need business and turn it on when you need it and turn it off when you don't. And the other cool thing is that it could be an additional layer to what you're already doing. So if you're already doing farming or targeted open houses in a specific area, adding a layer of this targeted prospecting can really help people connect with you in different ways than maybe what you're already doing. And Denise was able to do all of these things in her real estate business as a top producing agent. And as Randy said, if you've got questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask via the webinar interface. We're going to get to those questions at the end. And if you're wondering how you could possibly implement the tools that we're going to be showing to you today, we're going to talk about how to do that at the end as well. So Denise, I'm going to turn the presentation over to you. Your screen looks great. You're ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is a really important webinar because for most agents that I've had the pleasure of working with over the years, what I find is that you've got really great intentions in your business, and you already, you know how to provide great client care, but it's kind of like playing baseball. You're never going to hit a home run if you never get up to the plate. And lead generation and prospecting is like that. Not every agent is a natural lead generation agent. Some have to work at it. And I know that when I started in my business, today, looking back, one of the smartest things I ever did is I took lead generation seriously, and I was consistent with my lead generation. But one of the things you have to do is you have to find your fit. You have to figure out a system that's going to work for you, and you have to find your faucet. A faucet is something that you will literally turn on and off in your business as you need it. So lead generation is something that has to be there in your business so that you can ensure that your mortgage gets paid, your kids' college gets paid, your retirement is funded, and you have the money that you deserve to do the things that you want to do in your life. And the problem is in the real estate industry is that if you don't have a consistent lead generation system, what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a business that completely relies on the timetable of perhaps your past clients or perhaps people that may be in the right place at the right time and may want to do something with you right now. And I could not run my business like that. What I did in my business is I figured out different lead generation systems. Now, over the years, I have been involved with all kinds of different lead generation systems. And for me, when I sold real estate, I found my fit. And my fit very much was about choosing a target market, figuring out a plan for that target market, getting my materials that I would need in order beforehand for that target market, and then executing on it. And today what I want to do is I want to give every listener hope that you don't have to run a business where you're wondering where your next commission check is coming from. You don't have to run a business that is feast and famine. You do not have to run a business that is stressful, because the biggest stress that I find from my clients over the years, if I look back 15 years, I would say that the top 3 stressors always were lack of leads, lack of leads, lack of leads. It wasn't, oh, I've got a challenging transaction. Agents learn to work through that, but consistent stress always comes when you have that consistent fear of where is the next commission check coming from. And I don't want you or any agents that I've ever worked with to ever wonder where their next commission check is coming from. So today's webinar is really devoted to providing hope for you. And there is a way to have a consistent stream of new leads coming into your business. So first of all, let's talk about what's going on in the industry. We have a huge shortage of listings, and this is from coast to coast, north to south, east to west. We have a shortage of listings. Now, there are some pockets in some areas where there isn't a shortage of listings, that there are plenty of listings, but it really doesn't matter, because what I'm going to show you today is finding opportunities in any market. But if you're in a market right now where there is a shortage of listings, you're going to find that listings are the hot item. They're the hottest commodity. And if you're a listing agent and you know how to attract, not promote to, but attract sellers to your business and to have the opportunity to work with them, you know that you are on your path to a closing. The other thing I want agents to think about is that if you're an agent who never has ever gone after listings, you may have to think about changing your course right now, because listings for the next at least 3 to 4 years are going to be a hot commodity, just because we don't have enough new construction inventory to fill in the shortage of listings that we have. So we have to learn how to sell and market in this environment. It's critically important. And there's going to be more competition that's coming from agents all over, and that competition is going to be coming in all kinds of different varieties. So you have to know, where do I find these listings? What does that look like? So that being said, it's really, really important. It's really important that you have to think about, in your business, where is this business going to come from? So I always say to people, if you want to make more income in real estate, you have to do your research, and you absolutely have to know where the business is coming from, and you have to know where to find the business. So let's talk about right now. If we think in the business, who is listing right now? Well, sellers that are listing right now are the ones that want to capitalize on high appreciation rates in their area. They are sellers that, I'm sorry, you guys, my phone here is ringing and it shouldn't be, so my biggest apologies. So sellers who want to capitalize on high appreciation rates, sellers who want to take their equity out and make a lifestyle change, and sellers who need to move for work. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. If you are a seller right now and you have to make a move for work, there's absolutely no way that you have the time or energy to literally be interviewing tons of agents. So you, as an agent in this marketplace, has to be the one that is using your skills to, first of all, find those sellers and to offer them a solution very quickly. Because if you don't, they're going to move on to the next agent. The other thing that is happening in our marketplace right now is that there are sellers right now that are facing, and always will face, financial issues. It could be medical, it could be taxes owed. And the taxes owed one is a big one, because what's happened is a lot of people have regained their money. And let's say they lost money in the stock market and now they've regained that. Well, the problem is now they maybe they owe taxes, maybe they have made a decision that they have to make a change. So this is why it's so important right now that you are out there looking for these listings. When I go into the MLS, and the MLS to me is a gold mine of possible information. It is just phenomenal. What I'm looking for, I always look for these 5 things. I look for days on market numbers. What are the trends in the days on market numbers? I'm also looking at the list to sale price ratio on all closings, because that's going to tell me what areas have a definitely a hotter, more productive and higher demand. So that's important. The other thing that I look for is I look for hot neighborhoods, and you find hot neighborhoods by tracking what's selling, where is it selling, doing micro searches on the MLS. So looking for those hot pockets of neighborhoods that houses come on the market, they're selling in a low days on market time, they're selling for a good list to sale price ratio. And then the other thing I look for is I look for hot home styles. And that is how I found when I was actively selling, I went into the MLS one day and I was looking at list to sale price ratios. And I kept finding these properties that were selling for about 15 or 20% above the list price. And I was like, what is this? So I printed off all of these high list to sale price ratio properties. And then what I did is I was like, okay, now I got to find out what is the commonality of them. So I went looking, and what I found was I was looking for, is it a neighborhood? Is it a particular style of home? Is it a color of home? I mean, I wanted to know, what was it? Was it a particular floor plan? Because there was a lot of new construction in this one particular area. What was it? And what I found was it was anything that was a rambler or a rambler with a walkout basement, and especially the ramblers with the walkout basements. Those properties were selling for ridiculous amounts of money. And this was even in a market that was not a low inventory market. So that helped me to find, oh, there's a market niche there. And I remember one day looking and finding as many, I think I got 47 of these rambler properties. And what ended up happening is I ended up doing a mailer to ramblers with walkout basements. And I did this, and it was phenomenal, the response I got by educating people on, here's exactly what type of home you own, what a great investment you bought, look at what's happening in our marketplace. And it was incredible to me just what I had found in the market. I would never have found this had I not been really looking on, through our MLS and trying to find, it was like I felt like I was a detective, trying to find the commonality of what those things were. So that was really, really powerful for me. The next thing you have to think about is, okay, where do you find sellers? You have to have strategies for finding sellers. And really, there are so many opportunities out there for sellers. So first of all, using your own listings to get more listings and finding pockets of very hot demand you really have to think about that. If you have a listing, first of all, you will be the agent that knows all the activity, what agents are coming, if you're holding an open house, where people are coming from, you have access to the neighbors. Very, very powerful set of opportunities right there. The next thing is there are a number of people, unfortunately, that are going through divorce in our area. And divorce is a huge opportunity for listing agents. And I'm not saying that you will never capitalize in somebody's difficult life change or life situation, but you can absolutely offer help up. And I've worked with agents that have specialized in this, and they have found ways to help both parties and for it to be neutral and for it to be a very positive experience for both. Also, inherited homes. We are going through a time in our life right now where we are seeing at this particular time and place, and in 2018, we are seeing a large number of baby boomers inheriting properties, cash and homes. They're not necessarily inheriting big stock accounts. They are inheriting their parents' homes and cash because their parents are the silent generation. The silent generation absolutely is more of the generation that invested in real estate, not necessarily the stock market. We also have out-of-area owners, vacant homes, taxes and arrears properties. That's a big one. And also in the event that you have a buyer in an area, how do you go about that? And then finally, for sale by owner, people right now are doing all kinds of things to save money and not have to pay commissions. And for sale by owner is a big category. So all these ways of finding sellers right now in a very difficult market, it's all very doable. So let's talk first about the first category we talked about, and that is using your listings to get more listings. So I have been talking about this for years. This is something I did in my own business that was very powerful. And I've always said, if you have a listing, you must use that listing for leverage. That is really, really important. Listing leverage is what you've got. So by that, what I wanted to do when I was selling is I wanted people to kind of get to know me before they ever had to meet me. And that's why I always, when I took a new listing, sent out a listing letter. And then as soon as the property pended, I sent them a pending letter. And once it sold, I sent them a closed letter. And I'll show you these letters. So for example, in this particular situation, our client Cindy has just listed one of her clients' homes. So now what I wanted her to do is I wanted her to be able to show up in the eyes of the neighbors as somebody that was helpful, and she was giving information. So basically the letter goes out. In the letter you're saying something like, I'm writing to tell you that I have been hired by your neighbors to sell their home, and during the time that the home's on the market, you're probably going to see extra traffic, cars that you may not recognize. Just know that it's probably due to the fact that the home is on the market. If you have got children or if you've got pets and you're worried about the extra traffic, I'll be happy to put up a slow down sign for you. Also want to let you know that I'm going to be holding 2 open houses. Here's when the open houses will be held, and you put the dates and the times of the open houses there. And then you also let them know that you will also be contacting them once the home receives an offer, and that will help to keep them up to date on the status of the sale in the neighborhood. So again, it's just introducing before you've ever had to meet them. I also like to, in the letter as well, you can also say, during the open house, I'm also going to do a neighbors only hour, so please feel free to come by and meet me. So you can do that as well. Once the property pens, I then send out another letter that says, hey, I want to inform you that your neighbor's home is just pended, and this means that a buyer made an offer, and your neighbors accepted it. So you might want to put in there, you should start to see traffic slow down now. And also, when the property closes, I'll let you know what it closed for. I can't give you that number until, of course, the closing. So it's really important that you have an opportunity again to just reach out to them, because there are sellers that are getting these letters. The neighbors that get the letters are potential sellers. And then, of course, when it's sold, you send out the letter, and then you just make sure to put all of the details and the facts that they want to know. How many houses sold year to date in this area? How many were sold last year? What was the average sale price? What was the median sale price? Average days on market. But then, the final sale price on this home was $372. What that tells this agent right there, or the potential client, the neighbor, it tells them that obviously there's high demand in this area. Also, if the house, let's say, was listed at $359 and it sold for $372,000, what I would also do is I would also put in there, wow, this sold for 3 or 4 or 5% above list price. This is a great opportunity in the area. So one of the very first things that you have to do when you are in a market that has low inventory is you have to use any inventory you get as a way to mine, farm, and attract other potential listings. The other letter that I love is the letter that you send out and this one's way more detailed, where you talk about how much above list price this home might have sold for. And this is really a good letter, because in it you're saying that, hi, remember me, I sold your neighbor's house. And then I give them more of the facts. It says the home sold for $42,000 above list price. But because you were the listing agent, you knew, for example, how many other offers there were. At this point, you can say, in fact, there were 8 other offers, and since only 1 property was available, that means that 7 buyers lost out. That means that 7 buyers right now are pre-approved. They're ready to pay at least full price or more, because that's what they were competing for, and they want to live in your neighborhood. So this could mean that's a huge opportunity for you. So again, sending out that kind of letter and then offering them an opportunity to have you do a CMA or to discuss this with them, this is huge. This is direct information that pertains to their area, their neighborhood, and it pertains to them. So this is a really powerful piece. The next thing I tell people is you have to make sure that when you are doing any kind of mailers or mailing any kind of neighborhood or database, make sure that when you are doing a lead generation system or a mailing campaign, make sure you layer it. Sometimes it might be letters, sometimes it might be postcards, sometimes it might be on the phone, sometimes it might be social media or open houses, but you have to have a layering approach in any kind of lead generation system that you do. And I also, and I've always had this expression, it's so cute, but you remember that game at the fair where you whack the mole, but then another little mole pops up and you got to whack that mole quickly. Well, what happens, and a trend that I noticed, is that whenever someone lists their home, not very long after, you'll see another listing pop up. And it's really the whack-a-mole theory. That is what always seems to happen. So what I love is I love this letter. This is a great letter, a great example of what we call the multiple offer letter. And this is where you say to the client, you know, I've been studying real estate in your area. Here's who I am. Here's who I work with. And, you know, my specialty is helping people build wealth through real estate investments. Okay, everybody wants to build wealth through real estate investments. And you may at that point talk about how low the inventory is. You may talk about the demand. You may talk about a list of homes that have pended in their area and the opportunity in their area, and just being able to bring to them factual information about a shortage in their neighborhood, their area, not just generally in the market, but in an area that directly pertains to them. That's very, very powerful. Also, another letter I love is a letter I call the demand-driven prospecting letter. And this is a letter where you talk specifically about a particular neighborhood. It could be a farm area that you're working in. It could be something you found in the MLS, a particular area. But what you have found in that neighborhood is that you show what you're showing them now is how the listing number has come down and the buyer number has come up. And now here we are at April 2017, and wow, look at these numbers are practically connecting, which means that we don't know how long this will last, but right now, if you're thinking about doing something, time is of the essence right at this moment, because the chances of having this moment again are very rare. So this is where this is powerful, but where you also go in and you can say in there that we have not had this condition since 2007. So this is powerful right now. This is the moment. And what it does is it creates that urgency. The other thing that creates urgency for people for sure is life changes. And there's a lot of life changes that happen: marriage, divorce, birth, death, transition, those kinds of things, retirement, any kind of work change, any kind of life change. So let's talk first and foremost about divorce. So here's an example of a series of letter campaigns that this particular agent has done. And it's a very good letter. It's very detailed. It explains that many people find themselves in the middle of a big life transition. And they talk about whether it is job, illness, divorce, death. And they talk in this particular letter, this agent talks about the different types of steps that are really critical to think about when, you know, going through this transition. The next letter talks a little bit more about, you know, different options, formulating your plan. So the key about any lead generation system is to choose what you want to do. Start to put your materials together for what you want to send out, and then to do it consistently. And that's the key point, okay? Now, the next life change is inherited homes. And I cannot tell you how many people are inheriting homes. The challenge is most of the time when somebody passes away and their wealth is passed on, it's passed on to a group of children, not just one child. It is a number of children. So now the children have found themselves inheriting an asset. So there's a number of ways where you can work to help these individuals. How do you help them to, you know, liquidate this home, do it in a manner that is respectful of all parties? So one of the things that you can do is there are ways to find out who has inherited property. It's public record information. Obviously, if it's in a trust and it's not public information, there are trust attorneys in every community that I know would love to work with an agent that specializes just in that, because it takes a very special person to be able to deal with 3 or 4 owners at one time. So these 4 kids have just inherited a property. You've got 4 different personalities, 4 different opinions. You have to be able to juggle that. So again, putting together a series of letters for this. The key, though, is to have to really be smart about how you're going to do it. You have to have a plan. And I have worked with agents and we have decided, okay, we're going to work just with trust attorneys. And then we've created a package for them, and we keep them updated in the market, and we offer them fast, very quick evaluations that are neutral. That way the attorney doesn't have to get an appraisal. They're getting a generalized market value, and then from there they can get more specialized when they meet with you. And I told the story not too long ago about one of my clients that came to me, and I said, just try it out. Why don't you work with, just try one trust attorney? And my client ended up started with one trust attorney, and he had so much business from that one attorney. And I said to him, well, it works so well, why don't you do another or do 5? And he's like, I couldn't handle 5. I can barely handle 1. I'm good with the 1. This is enough business. So I'll tell you that there are always ways to set up a faucet in your business. You just have to figure out what is your fit. And the purpose of today really is, let's look at these different things. And if something is resonating with you and you're going, that's cool, I like that idea, that's where you need to begin. One of my favorite of all times is out-of-area owners. I'm an out-of-area owner myself. I own investment properties that are in areas that are far, far away, and I want to know what's happening. Very few people actually ever send me anything as an out-of-area owner. But I'll tell you that when you are an out-of-area owner, you don't have a connection to that area. You may have an investment there. You might have a property manager handling it, but you may not know a real estate agent there. You may not know and be up on every single change that happens in the market. So again, having a campaign around that is really, really important. So out-of-area owners, here's a couple of great letters. Dear client, I'm writing to you because you're the owner of a Rambler property in Spokane, Washington. Let's say that's what the product was. Presently, the Spokane area is experiencing an extreme shortage of this type of property. And then you go on to say, I've enclosed a summary of these type of properties, what's happening. And you just basically give them data and information, and you do it on a consistent basis. The other thing is that you show them, keep them up to date on the market. You show them opportunities. If they own a duplex, wouldn't it be great to do an annual duplex review? That's another thing, finding opportunities for different style of properties for out-of-area owners, because those are properties that often investors buy because they know, oh, this is a college town. Duplexes do really well in college towns, so I'm going to be a duplex owner. And I remember a number of years ago, one of my clients started working on doing a specific duplex campaign, and he called me and said, I've sent out all these letters, but I can't handle this. I don't want to do this lead generation anymore. And I said, what's going on? Is it not working? Oh, it's working, but I've got all these people calling me, asking me to do CMAs, and I'm just overloaded. I didn't expect that I'd get that many responses. And that's what I want for you. Although it may be overwhelming, if you find the fit, if you find that little niche of out-of-area owners, for example, there are some out-of-area development, out-of-area properties that are developments of they could be a condo development. They could be a golf community where everybody owns either vacation homes or second homes. They could be duplex properties in a couple of areas around a particular university. That is a group of owners that has something in common, and they've probably bought those properties for the same reason. So trying to find those opportunities are powerful. And if you are ever wanting to know what those hot developments are, so for example, I go on VRBO and I'll look at different communities. I'll go, okay, I want to stay for a weekend in Sonoma, California. Okay, I want to stay for a weekend in Florida. I want to go for a weekend here. So I was recently looking up properties in a place called Wellington, Florida. And Wellington, Florida is an area, a very big, beautiful equestrian area. And I very quickly realized, oh, look at all these people that own in this particular development. It's really a niche. So they rent out to everybody that's coming to the horse shows or that has to compete here. These guys are making huge money. The rentals on those units were ridiculous. Well, guess what that means? If I was an agent in Florida, I'd be marketing to that development because most of the owners are out-of-area owners, and you only have two types of out-of-area owners. You either have real happy ones or you have not so happy ones. The real happy ones, I then would contact them to say, you're an out-of-area owner, and obviously you have to be doing well in this development because look how well this development is doing for rentals and for sales. I also have a list of some upcoming opportunities in this area, or I have new listings that I've seen that have just come on. If you love where you have invested, would you be interested in buying more? Because out of area owners who are investors will always buy more if they're living and owning and visiting a property that has had proven return for them. They see it every year in their tax returns. So once an investor, always an investor. And I mean that by saying that investors, once they're an investor and they have invested in something that it's a product they know, they trust, they like, and they've been doing well on, they will buy more. If they have the money to do it, they will buy more for sure. So very important. And here's just a series again of more letters where this agent has put together just, more market information for the out of area owner, just really keeping them up to date. And this owner, he talks about how an investor turned $50,000 into 137 in just a few short years. Here's how he did it. Here's what it looked like. Here's, this is an opportunity for you. So knowing what your product is, knowing what the opportunities are, it's very, very important with out of area owners. So here's a whole series of letters, again, more talking about 1031 exchanges, and maybe that's an option, right? So buying up, a lot of people, they'll buy in a vacation rental area, they'll buy a 3-bedroom. It's renting well, they do well, and then they decide to 1031 exchange it into a 4-bedroom. So many different opportunities out there. You just have to find, what's my interest? What am I good at? Do I like this investment side of things? So again, just putting together the series of the letters and the materials that you need. Also, did you know that there are so many vacant homes across the country? Finding vacant homes, finding the owner of the vacant home. So again, putting together letters, something very, and if that's your area of specialty, saying, I know you own this property at 1234 Main Street. I've noticed it's vacant. I specialize in this area. And then you talk a little bit about opportunities. The other thing that I have done for agents that have worked vacant homes is they will do a 6-month photo update to the owner of the vacant home, because the home is sitting vacant, and sometimes there's a number of reasons that a home is vacant. Sometimes it's an out of area owner who does not and will, they don't want to rent it out. They don't want to deal with tenants. They've had a bad experience. They'd rather it sit empty. So again, keeping them up to date on it. A vacant home will stay vacant, usually no more than about 18 months. By the time the owner has eaten a year's worth of expenses on a vacant home, and usually these vacant homes are paid off, so there isn't a mortgage expense, but they've had to have gone through about 3 6-month tax payment periods before they go, okay, this is getting expensive. But with vacant homes, I always tell agents, put together a database of vacant homes, and you're probably going to find that most of them are going to, they'll incubate and become mature at approximately this 18-month time period, 18 to 24-month time period. So again, putting together a series of letters, understanding what your base is. And the purpose of the call and our webinar today is really to help you figure out, okay, are there other ways to find listings other than the traditional ways? And the answer is yes. There are different categories all over. And here's a huge one: taxes and arrears. I used to do a whole series of letters just on for taxes and arrears and send these out. And when taxes go into arrears, there's a number of reasons for it. Sometimes it is because somebody forgets and they appreciate it. I cannot tell you how many times I had people say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I changed all my mail to a P.O. box and there was some confusion at the post office, and I would have comments like that. I would have people thank me and say, oh, you know what, this is my thank you for sending the letter. It's actually my mom's property and she's been sick and we've been trying to figure out what she owes, and oh my God, thank you so much. And I'll tell you, those even doing that and getting and providing that goodwill is powerful. But here's another great letter. I'm writing to you because according to, and every tax assessment office has a record, it's public record information about the who has taxes in arrears, what properties are in arrears. And in the letter it says, there are many reasons that this may have happened. It could have been an error. You may have paid your taxes. Maybe they weren't processed correctly. If you're not sure, here's who you can contact. Here's the telephone number. Oh, maybe your lender didn't pay the taxes out of the escrow account. Oh, and then, hey, if you're a senior, you may be eligible for a discount or for a deferment, or, on and on and on. And by just this letter alone is such a goodwill letter. People actually do appreciate it. Then you'll get the call where they'll say, how did you find my information? And you'll say, oh, it's public information. And then they'll be really concerned that, oh, everybody can see my information? Yes. And then they will usually take a minute or two, explain the situation, and they will say, I sent my payment in, and I've been waiting for that check to clear. And hey, how come the tax assessment office hasn't been in touch with me? It's been 5 months. Nobody's told me that they didn't receive the check. I thought the check cleared the account. And usually you have people really appreciating what you did. So it's really important that when you're working with tax properties that have taxes in arrears, that you understand that for many of these tax in arrear properties, it's not like they're going to call you and say, I want to sell today. What they're probably going to do is call you and talk to you about it, but you've built a relationship. And that is the power of tax arrears properties. It's really, really powerful. I've had people call me and say, my taxes the taxes are in arrears. We are probably going to sell in 6 months. We don't have the money, and we figured that we'll just pay them out of the closing when we sell. Okay, fantastic. Okay, and let me tell you a little bit about how that works and how that could create a challenge for you. And what we don't want is, and then we talk about how this could affect their sale. So, again, providing more information. I've had many people say to me, after talking to them, well, maybe we'll talk to you when we're ready. And then what I do is I keep them, I keep in touch with them, and I make sure that I'm staying upfront with them, and I'm really open about what's going on in their area. And if they're thinking of selling, I'm letting them know every sale that comes on. I know you're thinking of selling. Here's another one that sold. Or here's another listing that came on. So I really, with the one thing about the tax arrears campaign is it really gives you an opportunity to reach out in many ways that are not just about taxes and arrears, okay? Also, if you have a buyer in the area, very, very important that you have a letter, but the letter has to be specific. It can't just be, oh, I've got a general buyer. It has to be way more like, I have a true bona fide buyer. This is exactly what they're looking for. This is exactly the area. Let me tell you a little bit about the buyers. Let me tell you what the situation is. That's very, very important, okay? That has to be something that you be very specific about. You can't just be like, oh, great area. I know lots of buyers who want to buy. You have to be specific. That's another opportunity. If you're looking to for listings and you can't find them, and you've got buyers that want to buy, I say this to agents all the time. They'll say to me, I have no listings. I just have buyers. And I'll say, if you've got a buyer, you have an opportunity. And that's where you have to come up with a good strong letter that you're able to then send out, and you're trying to increase interest, and you're trying to get the phone ringing. And this you're going to see a lot of in our marketplace. You're going to see a lot of for sale by owners. Everybody thinks they can sell a home. So the key with any kind of for sale by owner is letting them know that you understand that they're selling. You are a specialist in the area. While they do have their house for sale by owner, you're going to provide them with information off of the MLS that they possibly are not going to be able to get instantly, and provide them information. Send them a good letter, but be consistent with them. Don't hound them for, oh, let me get in and look at your house tomorrow. Don't hound them for, hey, I might have a buyer for your home. If you don't have a buyer, you don't say you have a buyer. But just providing them that current information that's really, really powerful. So that's what I want you to be thinking about, is how can you make a good experience for this for sale by owner? What is that going to look like? So that's why it's, so important that it's consistent. It's not just one letter. It's not just one piece of information. It is a series. And all of these will, all of the different things we're talking about today are really important for you to be thinking about. Okay, what's my system? what is my fit? What am I comfortable with? How am I going to find listings? Because you can't just run a business anymore where you rely on your database. Here's a few more things that this particular agent, Terry Wentworth, sent out to her for sale by owner group. And this is just a little bit more of information, a little bit more advice. Again, it's creating a system of different things that the for sale by owner can use. And again, being that one agent that is consistent, because most agents might call the for sale by owner once. Your goal with the for sale by owner is to be there after 6 weeks, not just in the beginning when they list it, but to be there when they get tired. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk a little bit about making your mailers stand out. This is really, really important. So whatever you send out, for example, if we look at this particular agent, great information, it's good information, but it doesn't have visual impact. And people today are visual. Over 80% of our population is visual. They learn better visually. They take in information better when it's coupled with visual images. So this is, it's a way more powerful and impactful part of your business to make sure that your visuals go to something like this. Now, if you look at the flyer on the left, now you even see the little mini icons with the little house with the dollar sign, the for sale sign. You have more visual imagery, and you can very quickly get an idea of what the information is. This versus this, quite a bit different. And this is where, something that's well branded and visually strong is so important. And also, I'm sure, Sean, I'm going to have you just address Cheryl's. Cheryl's had quite a history with the things that she sent out over the time, but because we've done so much work on her materials, do you want to just address that for a second?
I sure will, yeah. And actually, the neat thing about Cheryl is that she takes that whole service versus sales things to another level. So she's always looking for that really great piece of information to send out. And that coupled with that visual brand is really powerful, because her brand serves as her visual voice. Not everybody who's receiving these knows who she is. And so if she's developing relationships with potential clients through the mail, having that strong brand is really important, and having that great service-based information is really important too. And so Cheryl's done a great job of that.
And the key is she's consistent. So her lead generation system is, okay, her faucet is, I'm going to own, really literally own a geographical farm. I'm going to make sure that everybody that lives there over a period of time, whether they're moving in, whether they're moving out, they will have seen my materials, so that she at least has an opportunity to be given the opportunity to go up to bat. Okay. The other thing we talked about was layering. And this is an example of one of our clients in Palm Springs. And he works in an area where it is huge investment. People buy vacation rentals down there. They buy vacation homes down there. They need to know what's going on in the market. This is a great example of a layering plan, but also the brand plus the information makes it memorable. He came to us when he didn't have any materials. So he would send something to somebody that was in Washington State, and you didn't get the feel of Palm Springs and the palm trees and the weather and the golfing and, the beautiful homes with the pools. And that's why it's so important when we did his brand that we had to add that visual element to it. So you can't just send out data. You have to send out data that is coupled with a strong, memorable brand, because people are visual. This is that layering effect, the layering effect with the branding, the content, the types of materials you send out, the frequency. All these things are a strong, cohesive system. And, we have so many different agents that do so many different things in different areas. And it's really, again, it's about finding your fit and giving you that confidence that you're not necessarily going to be in a business that's constantly feast or famine. Why can't you have consistency? Well, the answer is you can. We see it time and time again. Agents that we work with that come to us with these challenges, and the challenges are they don't have consistency. And that lack of consistency erodes their confidence. Well, if all of a sudden you have a steady stream of clients coming to you year after year, and you're really building your base, and you're building that past client base, what happens is it makes your lead generation that much easier, and it makes your business that much more productive and profitable. So it's really, really important to know that every one of you is different and unique, and what you do and how you do it is unique. But finding your fit, whether that is a geographical farm, whether that is expired listings for sale by owners, working specifically with divorce or with attorneys, or helping people that are out of area buyers, or really specializing in for sale by owners. There is never a shortage of lead generation, different ways of doing lead generation in our industry. The shortage really is a shortage of agents who do anything consistently. That's the biggest challenge. So one of the things I like to say is that, we usually deal with agents in these categories all the time. Sometimes we find agents that just want to find their fit. They are an agent that hasn't really found their fit yet. They're looking for a lead generation system they can turn on and off. And the one thing I say is that people ask me all the time, Denise, what's the best lead generation system? And I say to them, there's no perfect answer, because I have to ask you, do you like pajama marketing or live marketing? Meaning, do you want to, really be live with people, or are you someone who would rather have the phone ringing? If you're someone who just wants to do some kind of campaign where whatever you're doing is causing people to call you, that's attraction marketing, that's pajama marketing, then I'm going to recommend something different. And there's no one size fits all plan. There's no one size fits all agent. Every agent is different and unique. And that's why before we ever recommend any lead generation system to any client, I need to talk to that client. I need to understand who you are. I need to understand what makes you tick, what you're comfortable with. So you might be an agent who's just simply looking for that lead generation faucet, something they can turn on and off when needed, something that will guarantee them that income. But in order to do that, you have to invest the time and energy to reveal a little bit about your likes and dislikes and your market and what's worked for you, what hasn't, what your struggles are. That's really the most powerful first step that you can take. I also run across agents all the time who have developed a farm area, but their farm area isn't necessarily producing. And by the way, a good farm area will produce. It always does. If it's a good farm area that you are doing the right things for, and I always say to people, if it's a good farm area and if the numbers are there, but you're not getting the result, something's wrong with what you're sending out. Because remember, there are different personality types, and your materials also have to suit and resonate with the different personality types. So before we ever approve any document, any material, it could be a postcard, it could be a letter, it could be any mailer that goes out to a geographical farm, we're looking at it and asking, does it have a beautiful visual brand? Will a controller like this? Will an analytical like it? Will a promoter like it? Will a supporter like it? Is it visual enough? Is it too visual? Does it have too much content, not enough content? So there's a little bit of a formula and a balance that you have to figure out. And once we help you figure out and you've got that formula, then you're like, okay, now every mailer, I just got to make sure that it has my voice. I got to make sure every mailer has something that is data driven. I've got to make sure every mailer has got my brand and these other elements that we recommend you have to get the mailers noticed. We find that once we add those elements, then all of a sudden your phone starts to ring. So it wasn't the farm. We knew the farm could produce. It was that you weren't connecting yet. And that is something that is very, very powerful to do. And then we also have agents that come to us and say, we've always wanted to explore a particular niche market. I want to specialize and work with veterans. I am a vet. That's where my heart is. That's where my soul is. That's who I want to help. Excellent. But then again, it's about creating a plan, creating the visuals around the plan, and creating the tools and systems you need to execute on that on a consistent basis. So again, you have that faucet that you can turn on and off. So if you're any one of these agents and you need help, please just reach out to us. That's what we're here to do. That's what we do day in and day out. We solve problems and we want to help you take your business to a whole other level. You cannot do that if you don't have a strong lead generation, prospecting tools in your business. You have to have that. Sean and Randy, any final comments from you?
Yeah, you can certainly reach us by the phone or email listed here. You can add a comment to the webinar console, and we're going to reach out to you after the webinar to schedule some time to talk. But if you have been thinking about, is a brand right for me, we're happy to set up a call and chat about that. There's absolutely no obligation. This is strictly a service-based call. Again, it's like that whole service-based content that we had talked about earlier too. So I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to questions. So Randy, if we've got any questions from our guests, we'd love to take those.
Okay, Denise, thank you for that great presentation. That was an impressive amount of information, so many examples. We're going to move on to questions and answers. So let's see. If you have been listening and you have a question, just open the webinar control panel and type your question in. I'm going to go right to the first one. Denise, other than blanketing an area with mail or advertising in a newspaper, is there a better way to identify sellers who are going through a divorce or who may be selling for financial or family growth reasons?
Well, there's one. First of all, the one thing I tell agents to be very careful about is when you're getting information that is public record information, like I'll start with tax arrears and I'll get to divorce. Let's say you have found information about tax arrears. It's really important that when you send the letter out, you let people know, I want to let you know I'm reaching out to you because this is public information and this is a website that has this information, and this is my area of specialty. I work with people that have taxes in arrears, so just understand that that's why I'm reaching out. You have to be very gentle about this. The other thing is, let's say that you want to find people that are going through transition and divorce. What you do, one of the best ways that I have found is, one of the things that I did, it was just what I did because I actually was pretty good at being able to sit down with both a husband and wife. And I didn't do it for a long time, but I did it for about a year, and I worked with divorced couples. But how I got all my business, there were 4 mediators in my area. And I went to the mediators and I said, look, one of the biggest problems that you have during mediation is a division of assets and property. And I can guarantee you that that's probably one of the biggest things you guys are battling out during these mediation sessions. So what I would like to offer you is I would like to offer you an opportunity to have me, when you're in a mediation, to come in. I'll come in for 15 minutes. I'll sit down and talk to both the husband and wife just about what it looks like to liquidate their property and how I can help them fairly do it. And then I would walk in. And so these mediators loved this. They thought this was the coolest thing because what were they fighting out of mediation? Well, I want to use this agent. Well, I want to use that agent. So I came in as a neutral agent. I just sat down and I said, look, both of you have reasons why you've decided to end this marriage. And there's no judgment here. Here's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you guys. Bottom line, this is a team. And you still are, you own this property as a team. You want to get as much money out of this property as possible. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. That's my job. And I want to talk a little bit about whether you work with this agent or that agent, or it doesn't matter who the agent is. This is what you both need to be aware of right now in our market. I would give them information about the market. I would walk in and I would say, here's your property. Here is where I think you could do best. And then I'd walk away and leave. And I did this constantly for about a year for this mediator. For me, what ended up happening, and the reason I stopped, is because and this was the only reason, because it was lucrative, was during mediation day, what happened is you had to be open pretty much the whole day. So for me, it got to the point where it was like I'd have 3 or 4 of these mediations in a week, and I couldn't be open all day because it all depended on how the mediation went. So for me, I had to stop doing that. Now, I've had other clients that have found clients that are going through divorce through attorneys. And I just found, for me, the mediation avenue worked better because I was just there offering a service. So that's, there are ways to find out. What I don't recommend you do is pull court records on divorced people and send them a letter because it creeps people out thinking that you're reading their divorce documents. So I would not do that. I would, again, you want to be a referral from somebody that they trust, like an attorney, or offering a service through a mediator. That's how I would find divorced people.
Okay, I think you touched on a lot of things that answers this other question because that was a great segue into this. So let me know if you want to add anything to it after you hear this. Denise, during the downturn, I worked tax arrears, short sales, financially distressed sellers. Many were in a bad place. And that meant their attitude was that I was looking to take advantage of their situation. And they're asking, what would you do when confronted with that attitude? And I think you mostly addressed that, but is there anything you'd like to add?
I think that's good. I think that's pretty much what I would have answered to that. I think I've covered that.
Okay. Now, you mentioned connecting with trust attorneys at one point. How would you develop that relationship to the point where they are referring business your way? What would your first step be?
Just repeat the first part of it, because you just went cloudy on the very first part. I got the second part.
Sure. You were talking about trust attorneys. How
Yes.
would you develop that relationship? What would your first step be?
Okay. So whether it's a trust attorney, or whether it is, so if it's a trust attorney, or if it's a mediator, or if it's a divorce attorney, any of the professionals, what you do is, what I would do is I would start out first with a letter. And the letter would say something like this: my name is Denise Lonis. My area of specialty is working with, you could say working with families that have recently inherited homes, working with people who are going through a transition of divorce, working with, so you name what your specialty is, and then you talk about why that's why you've chosen that as your specialty, and then you give them an offering of services. So what you say, like to a divorce attorney, I would say, oftentimes you have a problem, and that is you need a quick evaluation. You can contact me, I'll do a quick evaluation. Number two, I'm happy to come to your office and meet with your client with you to discuss their property. Now, and you give them different options that you can do for them, but you start with a letter. Then after the letter, you make a phone call and you try to connect. Then after you connect, you send them, I used to send out quarterly real estate update reports. And that was, I just kept my name in front of them. And I found ways and opportunities to, keep the discussion going. And if I had somebody that I helped, I would let someone know. And I'd call the attorney up and I'd say, hey, I just want to let you know, I just helped another client that went through divorce. Here's the challenges we had. Here's how we resolved them. Here's how I can help you. It has to be something that you're interested and, you're interested in doing long term. So, and you're interested in, making that your specialty.
Okay. What would your advice be for somebody who is watching this webinar and who has a really small budget for looking for sellers? Which of these strategies do you think would be where they should begin?
Great.
I would say that, so here's the thing. When someone tells me they have a very small budget, that tells me that doing, a large geographical farm that's going to take, mailing costs and creating postcard costs. So I would do letters. So I would start definitely on every time that agent got a listing, I would do my listing letters, pending letters, closing letters. Or what I would do is I would do letters to a niche market. It might be letters to for sale by owners. It might be letters to some out of area owners. So I would do something more like that required letters, and not necessarily doing a whole farm area that might take 6 months, 12 months to really come together.
Okay. And speaking of farms, what is the return rate that you would expect from a good farm? What's a typical size for such a farm?
Well, I could talk about farms for 8 hours, so I don't want to give a direct answer, but I'm going to give an indirect answer. I'm going to try to answer that. I tell agents, don't even choose a farm until you do the research that I want you to do for that farm, because you have to, let's say a farm area has 200 homes. I want to know how many homes sold there last year, the year before that. I want to know what the turnover rate is, meaning what is that percentage of homes that are selling. I want to know who is the competition in the area. I want to know what the days on market number are in that farm area. I want to know the driving in and out routes of that farm area, so we can see if there's some marketing opportunities there. There's so many things you have to know about a farm before you just decide to do a farm. But I will tell you this: if you do all that work and the farm passes, let's say my test that I have for a farm, that farm will have a good return for you. And a good return, I always tell agents that after they've been farming that area for, let's say, 3 years, there's no reason why they shouldn't be doing approximately 20% of all the sales in that farm area. And that's a nice turnover, you know, if you're consistent with it. And once you've been in that farm area, you know, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you own it. It just, that's what happens. That's the beauty of geographical farming. But that's just another, well, we didn't even talk about geographical farming today. I've got a whole bunch of other webinars and materials on geographical farming, because that's a huge, powerful, incredible lead generation system, but you have to do that one right, for sure.
Yeah, that's a whole topic unto itself.
You bet, absolutely.
And I think if you did the research, you'd probably be able to answer some of those questions too. Well, thank you, Denise. Shauna, Denise, any final words before we close up?
Find your faucet, and to find your faucet, you need to find your fit. And you find something that you're comfortable with, but then you really have to also ask yourself, what am I going to mail out? What's the system? What's that going to look like? What about my branding? And if anyone listening doesn't, you're kind of like, oh, great information, but I don't know where to start, please call us, because that's what we do. And one of the things that we love to do for agents is find something that actually is going to truly give them a return on their investment. It isn't a one-size-fits-all plan. It is who are you? What's your area? What's going to work for you? What are you most comfortable with? And then what are all the tools and systems you need to make sure that you actually get that return? Because our goal is to take the stress away from you in this business. It's not to add another layer of confusion. It really is to say, okay, here's something that you can do from here on in your business that is going to give you that. It's like a life jacket. It's like that guarantee that you're not going to have to suffer from feast and famine. And the clients that we work with that consistently do their lead generation, like turning that faucet on and turning it off, those are the agents that do the very best in this business, because they don't operate anymore under this level of stress and fear. Now they operate under a level of confidence and calm. And that's what we really want. I want agents to be confident that they're going to make the income they need to make, and calm, because that calmness brings that confidence. So good luck, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this information today, and looking forward to hearing from you if you need our help. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Shauna. And thank you to you, too, our audience, for spending your morning with us. If you have questions about today's presentation, or you'd like to know more about how we can help you with your real estate business, please give us a call. Our phone number and email address are right there on your screen. Have an excellent rest of your day.